foster care at that time. His mother passed away, and he's in foster care. He's living with a foster family, a very loving foster family. And he wanted to live with his father. Who doesn't want to live with their father? Whoever their father is. He's his father. Time goes on. This very typical horrible situation within the house at 1356 Fenn Drive escalated a lot more quickly than we think about in these situations. And if you think back to some of the telling things that Gowker said up here, he is very, very funny, very happy, very sad, very quick. That's what he said. Every once in a while, what he's really about comes out if you pay attention. Amanda understood where this was going, and she understood she had to terminate her pregnancy, and then she did that. And he was furious about that. He took his child. I think that he cared about that child. It was his possession. And you don't take things from him. All the while, this crazy escalation is going on. The Perfect Family Front is being put up to CPS. In January 2011, Joshua Young had just started getting to stay the night over there in the middle of all of this. He wasn't even back in his father's temporary custody yet. That didn't even happen until the end of March. In this chaos, they gave him back, and he wanted to go. That's his father. It's his father. He'd been there 6 weeks, and Trey was dead. May 10th, May 11th. May the 8th, 2011, Amanda quit her job. This escalation, any minute, you can feel it coming any minute now. This is classic stuff. You can't work. I don't want you to work. Ensues. And it's obvious that Jeremy McFarland was really worried about his sister at that point because he hadn't really talked to her at all. And obviously you can assume he was hearing some of this stuff from other family members because he just kind of showed up. And you remember what he said? He pulls up and Gowker is scowling until he rolls his window down. He was just trying to get into this situation and diffuse it and protect his sister. And there is nothing wrong with that. But it's not a coincidence that he showed up over there. 2 days later, and confirmed what he already knew by looking at her neck. And she told him, no, that's Hickey's. And we're not demonizing Amanda because we know that this is how this works. And you could tell that he felt guilty because something happened that night when he was there. You can take everybody at their word about the basketball injury, where you can wonder and really think about what really happened to his hand. And good for him if he was trying to protect his sister. Something happened. Something went on all night long. And he went to the ER and he mentioned that you could see that he was just really hesitant. He just really feels bad about not, what if, you know? And didn't take him with him because he wants to sit at the ER all night. Understandable. All kinds of people were supposed to have been at this cookout. Again, let me stop right there. Don't just take these scenarios as to who was there and what happened and everything else because people keep saying it over and over, because that's how he does it. Just remember that. You heard from several people that Cassie and John, who live at 1360 Vim Drive, 2 houses away and closer to the ditch line, were there with their 2 kids, and their 2 kids are Michael and Shannon. You heard that Amanda and that Gowker and that Kinsey and that Trey and that Joshua Young were there. Jeremy McFarland was there for a while, but he left because he got hurt somehow. And some other neighborhood kids. Pay close attention when it gets really vague like that. Don't just assume that that's what they're talking about. Why do you think I kept doing that with John? The kids. What kids? Because once you start really, they're simple questions. They're not trick questions. Who? Who are you talking about? I don't recall sometimes. I'm not going to put those words in John's mouth because I'm not positive that he said that. You heard that from a lot of other people, though. At some point, there's a turtle. This turtle is just kind of a wild card issue in this case, and I think it means absolutely nothing other than Gowker had to get down there so he could leave evidence that he had been there at some point because, well, he just does that. From that point forward, nothing is clear, and we don't know what the heck happened that night. And what you have to do is accept that we'll never know. Don't convict this boy because you don't know and he didn't cry at a funeral. We disputed that, obviously. We're insulted that we had to, but don't just convict because you don't know. We don't know who unscrewed the back porch light bulbs. We don't know why they did that. We don't know if it's because Amanda and Josh Gowker were going to have sex. We don't know if it's because Josh Gowker was going to ambush somebody. Harlan was going to come back and this was we don't know. We do not know. That's how he does it. We know what they say. They give you an explanation for the light bulbs, and there's dispute as to who unscrewed those, and they were, well, actually, I think at trial, Amanda indicated that she wanted to clean in the dark, I believe, because the lights coming on was annoying back there. Either way, the story goes, Trey opens the door fully dressed. In some accounts, he says nothing. In others, there's a brief discussion. In some accounts, he just shuts the door. In other accounts, Amanda walks in, stands at the bottom of the steps, get your butt in bed, that's that. Nothing's clear, and we'll never know, and you just have to accept that. Meanwhile, where's Joshua Young watching Warriors? I don't know. We do know he could have had that much food in his stomach, and a lot of it, or some of it anyway, hadn't even begun to get digested. At one point, Gowker throws out this "he ate my leftovers" stuff. Don't forget he was indicted, so he's seen discovery. Video doesn't lie, though. He knows that. He acknowledged that. He enjoys being recorded, obviously. You saw how he was acting. We do know one thing about where he was that night and where Amanda was, and that is for a 2 to 5 minute window, they were at Circle K on Preston Highway buying 2 packs of cigarettes, 1 for each person, their brands, Marlboro Reds, Marlboro Lights. We know this because just like he always does, there's an empty pack of both in the bedroom wastebasket with a banana peel and a white grape wrapper. Some things just are too perfect. They're just too perfect. On that note, don't forget, there is no video. There is no video, and they got caught lying about that. Because when Gowker was at homicide with his phone in his hand, talking to the detective, he knew the more graphic he described what was on his phone, to support this alibi. It's all about alibis for him. And you can only do that with recordings. Really do that. Airtight. Why do you think he went there after he killed him? He pulls his phone out and says, we made this porn, it involved a banana, you want to see it? And who wouldn't be like that, you know? And the detective acknowledged that he did that. But Amanda said that that was taped on her phone. There's no video. There's not one. So why is there a banana peel in the bedroom wastebasket with 2 separate empty cigarette packs, one for each person, their brand, Marlboro Reds and Marlboro Lights, and a white grape wrapper? A white grape wrapper was found down there at the spot. It's too perfect. He's toying with them. From there, after Circle K, that's really all anybody knows. Quiet of night, it was really hot the following day, and probably on the 10th. Just silence in that neighborhood. Sun comes up, it's a regular school day. Regular day, school buses coming and going, just the bustle of life, normal day. It's a Wednesday, everything just happened. Till that afternoon, at some point, and we don't know when because it's just been all over the map, Trey's backpack is discovered at 1356 Bim Drive. But when Amanda, who's with Gowker, is standing right at the ditch at Vim, which would be past Cassie's from their place, suddenly she's alerted that there is a body up there. And what does she do? She takes Kinsey to Cassie's, and her and Gowker run through the neighborhood to get to Liberty, despite the fact that she, and everyone knows that trail is there, and that is the quickest way up there. It's the quickest way to get there. And maybe she knew then, and maybe she didn't, and maybe she knew way before that, and maybe she didn't, but something told her what happened, who it was, and who did it, and he was right beside her. At Liberty, they thought it was a man at first because Trey was a big boy. He was a big guy. And then suddenly that got adjusted down a little bit because people got into the crime scene. I think the detective personally went and, saw the body. They were estimating maybe 16, but they didn't know who he was because nobody reported him missing. So finally, the decision's made, but Terry Zwicker can see if it's his son. And when he does that, he falls to his knees and loses his mind just like anybody else would. And 5 minutes later, he was in Detective Russ's car saying, I know, and he didn't offer this. He was asked, do you think this guy is talking about Gowker is capable of this? Oh, yeah. And very much takes the high road in giving a little synopsis of what the basis of that belief is. And nobody listened to him. Not that day. Because Gowker and Amanda were separately being interviewed by another detective, and all he was talking about was Bridgewood. And he acknowledged, not that anybody really needs him to acknowledge, that there was a reason for that. It's all strategy. They were going to look at Joshua Gowker, and there's a reason he didn't say, I have the record, whoa, she looks injured. There's a reason for that. You're going to jail at that point. There was probable cause at that point. He was a person of interest, at least. I'd want to speak with them more. They did twice at the scene while he sat there and asked to see the body over and over and over and wanted a picture so he could see what he did when it was daytime and see the facial imprint in the ground. And walk back during the visitation and look at it again. It wasn't because he needed to know how Trey died, because he knew, because he did it. Do you really think he didn't do that? Do you really think he would delegate that? He planned this. There is no way. He took a lot of pleasure in doing that to that poor boy. He really did. Gowker was pretty disgusted with the police investigation in this case, and that's why he may or may not have gotten himself indicted. Take those people they called in here and said he told me this, he told me that, and demon seed, take it at what it is. Whether he said those things to those guys or not, we don't care because we don't believe anything he says anyway. So that's where you get stuck. This investigation into Joshua Young, you notice how he's not even coming up? It's because he wasn't even there. Wasn't even there, he has no motive. I mean, the reason they even looked at him is because of Joshua Gowker. Because he cried. He cried and he felt horrible for Trey, and they know